The roar of the crowd drowned out the sound of Virgil's heart pounding in his chest. The stench of sweat and tension hung thick in the air as he stood before the assembled senators and soldiers, the weight of his words pressing down like a shroud. What have we become, he thought, staring into the hollow eyes of powerful men who had turned their backs on everything he had ever cherished. Before him lay the broken remnants of a city once grand, now teetering on the edge of ruin. The echoes of laughter, the cheers of victory, and the cries of the wounded mixed into a cacophony of despair. Your loyalty is to the Empire, one senator spat, his face a mask of disdain, as he gestured to a gathering of armed men, their faces set in grim determination. It is time to purge the weakness from our midst. In that moment, Virgil understood, this was not merely a political stance, it was a death sentence for everything he believed in. How had it come to this? His heart raced as he realized he was about to witness the death of hope, the collapse of the ideals he had fought so hard to weave into the fabric of Rome. Behind the facade of grandeur, the empire was rotting from within. Whispers of treachery slithered through the marble halls, each accusation more venomous than the last. Powerful factions vied for dominance, their greed feeding off one another like vultures over a carcass. Virgil felt the burden of it all, his words, once a source of inspiration, now twisted into weapons of propaganda, manipulated by those who sought to elevate themselves over the common good. Virgil, a familiar voice called out, slicing through the chaos. It was Maecenas, his trusted patron, his friend. They're turning the people against you. You must act, or we will be swept away. The urgency in Maecenas' eyes was palpable, yet it was mixed with a fear that chilled Virgil to the bone. Like a javelin hurled in battle, the reality struck him, he had become a target in a game of power where lives were mere pawns. What would he sacrifice to save the empire he loved? It was a question that haunted him as he roamed the shadowy corridors of the palace, every portrait of past emperors watching him with accusing stares. The ghosts of their failures seemed to whisper warnings, decisions made in moments of weakness, alliances forged in secret that led to ruin. Under the flickering torchlight, Virgil sat at his desk, a blank scroll rolled open before him, the ink glistening like a promise unfulfilled. The words he needed to write haunted him. He could feel the pulse of history beating beneath his fingertips, a power that could either unite or destroy. I must write, he muttered to himself, taking a deep breath, I must inspire them to believe. But what would he say? The pressure mounted, and it was then that he made the first critical decision, to pen the epic tale of Aeneas, a hero fated to lead his people to a new home, a story that could rekindle the hope flickering in the hearts of the citizens. This will not only be a story of survival, he declared, but of destiny. Yet, in that very act of creation, he felt the tug of irony. Aeneas's journey was fraught with trials, loss, and the haunting memories of those left behind. Virgil's pen became a double-edged sword, as he understood that with each stroke, he was weaving his own fate into that of his characters. As the words flowed, Virgil believed he had found his strategy. The Aeneid would elevate the Roman spirit, a tapestry of valor and sacrifice that would remind the citizens of their greatness, an antidote to the poison of despair. He envisioned grand battles, divine interventions, and the unwavering strength of a people united under the banner of hope. But doubt lingered like a shadow. Would this epic truly be enough to rally a divided nation? The crowd's cheers echoed in his mind, yet they felt like distant thunder, promising both victory and destruction. They will rally around Aeneas, he reassured himself in the dead of night, clutching the scroll tightly. They have to. Little did he know that there were those who would see his words as nothing but a tool for manipulation. As he crafted the fate of Aeneas, others schemed in the dark, planning to twist his narrative to suit their own ambitions. Days turned into weeks, the tension in the Senate reached a boiling point. The day of reckoning had arrived. The forum was abuzz with fervor. We must silence him before it's too late, a senator bellowed, his voice cutting through the noise. Virgil stood before them, the scroll clutched tightly in his hands, trembling yet resolute. The light filtered through the grand arches, illuminating the faces of the assembly, a sea of uncertainty, ambition, and fear. I bring you the story of Aeneas, our past and our future, he proclaimed, his voice steady despite the churning dread in his stomach. The moment hung like an arrow not yet released, and then chaos erupted. Lies. Deceit, cried a rival senator, rising to his feet, his finger jabbing toward Virgil like a spear. He writes to distract us from the truth. Gasps from the onlookers rippled through the crowd, eyes darting back and forth between the two men. Sweat beaded on Virgil's brow as he faced the torrent of doubts threatening to drown him. We must find our identity, our strength, he shouted, desperation creeping into his voice. He could feel the tide of emotion swell, the desperation of the citizens who had sacrificed so much. Could his words be their salvation or merely a distraction from the approaching storm? As the senators clashed, the walls of the Senate echoed with accusations, the air thick with tension. It was in that tumultuous moment that betrayal struck, swift and merciless. Maecenas, the very ally Virgil had trusted, stepped forward, his face a mask of conflict. "Forgive me, Virgil," he whispered, barely audible above the chaos. "But they control the narrative now. I couldn't stop them." The weight of those words hung in the air, sharper than any blade, as realization cascaded over him like a sudden chill. The empire he had fought for, the ideals he had held dear, were now mere pawns in a game played by men who cared only for their power. The gathering of noblemen turned vicious, each one scrambling to align themselves with the victor of this battle, their eyes on the throne rather than the fate of the people. Virgil's heart sank as he watched Maecenas retreat into the shadows, leaving him exposed, vulnerable. Everything he had penned, every hope he had woven into the Aeneid, threatened to unravel in front of him. The consequences of ambition clawed at his soul, reminding him that loyalty was often a fleeting illusion. The aftermath of that fateful day echoed through the streets of Rome. Despite the tensions that had flared, Virgil resolved to finish the Aeneid, knowing it might be his last chance to influence the course of his beloved city. Yet, he knew that history would often gloss over the truth, how ambition and power could devour the very fabric of loyalty and trust. As he penned the final lines, he understood the painful truth: stories could unite or divide, serve as cautionary tales or as instruments of manipulation. Ambition could elevate, but it could also blind. In his quest to immortalize Aeneas's journey, he inadvertently reflected the fragility of human nature itself, where the desire for greatness could lead to irreversible loss. The streets filled with whispers of his tale, a bittersweet symphony that both celebrated the potential of empire and warned of its collapse. While the Aeneid became a cornerstone of Roman identity, it also remained a haunting reminder of the price of ambition, a legacy etched in the hearts of those who dared to dream, and a tale that would resonate through generations. As Virgil laid down his pen for the final time, he felt a strange mix of hope and despair. What will become of us, he thought, staring out at the uncertain horizon, knowing that history would judge them not by what was promised but by what was done. The weight of legacy pressed heavily on his shoulders, and the echoes of his words began to take flight, reaching into the hearts of all who